All right, thank you for staying with Citizen TV. The conversation is, have they been hard? The young generation, the Gen Zs, the millennials, they're all here with me, starting with Captain Ian Njiraini, motivational influencer and youth leader. Thank you so much for making time. We have Alex Mayore, communication director, Third Way Alliance. Asante sana for making time. Amira Abdullahi, ANC youth chair. Thank you very much for making time. Newton Hamasi, a youth leader as well. Asante sana for making time. Wanjiku Thiga, founder, Gears for Change Initiative. Asante sana for making time. And Onduko Rosasi, a youth leader as well. Thank you very much for making time. And Captain, we were coming to this question of have they been hard? And when you listen to what Onduko is saying, have they really been hard?
Trevor, I have to respond, first of all, to Newton and also to my good friend over there. First of all, there's no gap, per se, between millennials and Gen Z because we are all looking out for this country, Kenya, and we all want the same thing. Addressing of the issues, really, we are even behind you. If you look, there are even Gen X's some on the street, leave alone the millennials, supporting this. When I come back to Bwana Newton here, I do agree with him on the fact that, and this is what I don't like with Gen Zs, because for us to be hard, okay, you cannot be leaderless and faceless. Any revolution, any change, any push must have leaders. That is the issue we are having, and that's why they feel everything is being hijacked. The president was very open and said, come, let's talk. Some youth leaders actually went to State House. Then on X, everybody was like, who are these? We did not select them. That confusion is what is bringing all these issues right now because there is no stance. Because if the president himself, this is an office. Let's not just look at the person. This is the highest office in the land. The father of a nation has said, come, let's have a conversation. I think it is the highest form of respect Gen Z has been given and has refused it, which is quite interesting. Now, on the other hand, the government has not created the environment for them to actually have leaders. I'll say why. Anyone who seems to be vocal and anyone who seems to be a leader is done what? Abducted. So the environment to have leaders is actually quite tricky. So the government as well must give that safe space. If we say, okay, Captain Ian Njiraini is going to be the leader, I'm a millennial. I'm not saying I'm going to be the leader, but if I say I'm going to be the leader today, there is a high possibility tomorrow I'll be abducted. That is what we are saying. And we want that safe space for the Gen Zs that when they are leaders, the people are going to talk on behalf of them, then they have actually to be given that ear. Number two, these leaders or these people, because listen, already there are leaders in there. The people coming up with the flyers, the people who are coming up with the demands, who are these? These are leaders already. The people who are organizing the protests, these are leaders already. So they are actually not leaderless. There are some faces behind this, and that's why we're seeing this and there. Number three is respect. All the Gen Zs have to respect the president. I have seen some Gen Zs in some shows calling the president by his second name very arrogantly. That is wrong. He is the president and the father of our nation. We must address him with respect regardless. Okay. That is very wrong for Gen Z. Okay. Trevor, and then now, when he talked about the CAS positions, really, if you look, when the CAS positions were proposed, 50 politicians were, the names were forwarded to Parliament, 50 politicians. Now, you know, everybody's like, CSS politicians, CSS more politicians. You know, what are we doing? Looking at the wage bill, you cannot say we create 50 offices, not individuals, 50 offices to create jobs. In fact, the Gen Zs have not said we want employment. There were 14 demands that they had. None of them said we want employment. They had demands which were systemic changes for the government. There was no job. What they want is what exactly, my friend there said, that we want opportunities. Lower taxation, the high taxation has caused increased employment. A lot of companies are suffering. That is why we are saying, hey, come on, let's wake up. Okay.
And let me bring in Mayore first on this. Mayore, have the young people been hard?
No, they haven't been hard. Absolutely not. Because we are seeing situation getting worse than we even expected. Because right now we have opposition inside government. That's a mongrel. The same mongrel which President Ruto promised in his campaigns that he will never form. And to make matters worse, he is weakening the institution of parliament. Because when you bring out MPs from active MPs like John Mbadi and Opio and I, who are active MPs in Parliament, it means you're subjecting Parliament to another by-election unnecessarily. It doesn't mean that the opposition, people like Opio and I, doesn't deserve to work in government. Every Kenyan deserves to work in government, but the manner in which they have joined government is what we are feeling it's questionable. We did not go to the streets. Personally, I participated in the protest. I went to about 4 protests, so, tear gas is something now we're used to. We did not go there so that people get jobs. We went there for institutionalism, constitutionalism. Gen Zs want a fair system, a system where when you go to school, when you graduate, when you look for a job, you're not being told, who do you know? You're not being told, how much money can you offer? We were fighting for a fair system, a system where prosperity for all Kenyans is going to be realized. But right now, we're only seeing few people joining government. In fact, opposition is reaping big from a protest which they were never part of creating. You remember last year they had their own mandamanos, and all they got was NADCO and some bills which are supposed to be passed in Parliament. But this time, they've gotten cabinet position, and none of them went to the street with us. Let me give you an example. In Uganda, there's also protest. The Bobi Wine Party National Unity Platform. When the youths went to the streets earlier this week, they offered their lawyers to help the ones who are arrested. Here in Kenya, we only saw Law Society. Where were the opposition MP, lawyers? They have good lawyers there, but none of them came to represent the youth. But right now, when it's time for benefits, it's them who are reaping big. How is that fair?
Okay. Amira,
yes.
Have they been had?
Trevor, before I answer that question, I think I'll just like to respond to Onduko Kiasi. He mentioned something to do with brotherhood. Sorry, not sorry, but I really haven't seen any form of brotherhood in the Gen Z. What I've seen is a very crazy form of bullying. What I've seen is the normalization of immorality. We've normalized bullying people to the point that we are talking about. You also mentioned something to do with, the shallow-mindedness of the millennials and the thoughts on how we are different in terms of, the generation. The first downfall of a man is pride. That's something that the Gen Z have perfected to the core. Proud in the fact that they think they know it all. They are better than any other person. One thing, though, I give them credit for is the fact that it wasn't in the political space that the youth are this much educated. Because what we have witnessed is, as soon as something is mentioned by the president that is somehow in the Constitution or against the Constitution, or the Constitution gives a different limitations on, it was right there. No, this has to happen in 21 days. You're lying to us. You get. But then, in that scenario also, we've normalized thinking that we're too educated more than the people who educated us themselves. The parents and the millennials who we are calling shallow-minded and not educated, they were our teachers. They are our doctors. They are our members of parliaments. Those are the people who taught us what we know. Yes, the times have changed. Yes, we've evolved into different thinking, and we're all individuals. The way you, Trevor, think today is not the way I will think. So we've really normalized immorality in the sense that, as Captain mentioned, we're calling the president Baba Shalin. Yes, he's our dad, but to you, he's Mr. President. To you, as a Kenyan citizen, he is Mr. President, Your Excellency. Whether you're from the divide of any other political class, whether you're from, any other aspect of this country, to you, he's Mr. President at the end of the day. And to answer your question, have they been had? I believe they have. Speaking as a politician, Trevor, do we know how much it takes? Now I'm dissecting the president as a politician. Do you know how much it takes for a politician to say, okay, you want me to come down and listen to you? So my terms are this and this, and you go, no, our terms are this, and he's like, sawa, I will be at that X. He didn't even know what X is, maskini. He was just right there. Yeah.
Trying to win it.
He
Yes, that account.
Come on, you can't say that.
I know he has an idea about it, but in the sense that
He's never been
you
in
can
X
run a
space
country
before.
through X, it's
That was the
crazy.
first time.
crazy.
Are you saying the president is a villager?
He's just never been involved
I
in
mean,
that
we're all
conversation.
villagers, but,
Yes.
but at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is it takes a great deal of morality and, humility to actually calm down for your youngster and say, okay. Because Kumbuka also, as you mentioned, we have different divert ways of thinking.
Yeah.
Now, our elders were taught to always, you speak to the young person. Actually, you speak at the young person, not even to the young person.
Okay.
You speak
And that's
at
where
the
one
young
of the
person.
difference Onduko is saying is because the Gen Z,
Exactly.
they were not brought up like
So
that. In fact, I saw some people saying that in the millennials, we survived murder. Your parents would literally beat you with anything that they have. But they did not go through corporal punishment.
But then here comes a generation that says that used to lie to our parents that nakubaiya nini, kuna credit inafaa kununuliwa hapa, you get 9,000. Mom, nafaa kukununulia M-Pesa leo 10,000. So there's that much of a difference in terms of ways that we think.
Yeah.
But it took him to come say, you want me at X? As a whole president who has billions of things to actually consider, because I cannot only consider the youth.
Yeah.
I have a country to run, but I will be there. I will give you 2 hours of my time. And what did he receive? Insults upon insults. I was in that X space. Somebody calling him, wewe Ruto we ni mjinga. Does that make any sense to you as a person, as a patriot of this country? It doesn't really. And then some of the things that we really want accountability on, we need to get individual accountability. Police brutality. He did not pick up that gun. He did not create the Constitution of Kenya. As much as he might have had an impact on it, he's done major reforms on the Police Act right now. But case in example, today when I was coming in, as a Kenyan, I walk with my ID 24/7. I don't think any of you does that. My ID is on me 24/7. You know why? Because just as I was just right here in Mombasa Road, a drunk cop stopped the Uber that I was in, not even a matatu, and says, nipe ID yako. I'm like, boss, I'm headed somewhere. I'm running late. Can I just tell you the ID number? He's like, apana. Najua wewe ni Mkenya. Do you hear me now coming live on television and saying, Ruto, ongea na polisi wako? No. I blame the police for not knowing who is a Kenyan Somali and a Somali Somalia. You get, I blame the systemic marginalization that has happened to my community on different aspects of the country, not necessarily direct to the president. So when we come here and we say, your police are killing us, they're not his police, they're our police.
But who gives them the orders?
At the end of the day, he doesn't give the police orders.
But who does the buck stop?
Yes, exactly.
The buck stops with him, and there's so much he can do. Because at the end of the day, the buck of everything in the country stops with him.
Okay.
Yeah?
All right. Newton.
Yes, Trevor.
Have the young people been heard?
Trevor, the young people have been heard, they have not been heard.
Okay.
Both sides. But quick things first.
Yeah.
Trevor, you see young people, the Gen Zs, are here saying we don't want positions, we don't want what? I want to be very clear. In leadership and in politics, there's nothing like positions. There's something called representation. You saw the president read the list of the CS position nominees that he made. 50% of those are EGH, Elder of Golden Hearts. And that is the reason why the Gen Z and the youth feel not part of that. When we talk about CAS position being reserved for young people, we are not talking about positions, Trevor. We are talking about representation, and it needs to come out very clearly. Because without representation, there is a statement that we used to make when we were very active, like the Gen Z are now, that there is nothing about us without us. You got me? And the only way you can achieve that, Trevor, is through representation. And that is why CAS positions are very key. Another thing, the president was very categorical and he said he's going to form a broad-based government. A broad-based government without the young people is not broad-based government. And that is something that he needs to review, and he has a chance to redeem himself on that. Another thing is, when the Gen Z say they are leaderless, they are faceless. Our constitution never envisioned such a thing, Trevor. And they need to take responsibility and accountability. The more they are pointing fingers at other people, they need to point at themselves. That, hey, we need a leader whom we can hold accountable. Why are they wanting other people to be accountable, and yet themselves, they don't want to be accountable? And right now, as we speak, Trevor, the young people are on the menu. Instead, we are supposed to be at the table. And it is simple. Representation. There is nothing short of that. We don't want positions. You get me? People, you know, when you don't want to get the right thing, you say, oh, we don't want positions, we want institutionalism, we want this and this and this. And then when the young people are not there, you say, apana, this particular cabinet is for the old. Why? Because of representation. Therefore, I want to say that as young people, let us be objective. What do we want?
Yeah.
Let us define that. As a Kenyan, I want a Kenya where everyone is listened to. Everyone is included, Trevor.
But Nduko says just level the playing field. Don't give me anything. Just level the playing field so that I can fend for myself.
You see, Trevor, a very simple question. In 2027, I've heard Gen Z saying, oh, we are going to vote these people out. Are they going to vote in trees? They are going to vote in people. They are going to vote in representation. They are leaders. Which positions are those leaders going to handle? They are going to be members of parliament. They are going to be governors. They are going to be given institutional offices to execute whatever. If right now, in their own spaces, they cannot say, we have this leader. You heard the other day, there's a country that elected a young person who was in jail. You get me? Who was imprisoned, and then he was released to become the president of that republic. It is not because they were faceless. They were agitating outside there, Trevor, but they had a leader. Someone they believed that this person, if given an opportunity, is going to do what is deserving to us.
Right.
But if you don't have that, they don't trust anybody. They don't want anybody accountable.
But Captain says even the leaders, when they show up, they are arrested and abducted.
There is nothing like that. That is false. That is very far from the truth, Trevor, to be honest.
Have you seen arrests yourself?
I've seen arrests.
Have you seen abductions?
I've seen, not abductions per se. I will not call it abductions because
Okay.
you see,
NCHR says 60 people are still missing.
Trevor, you have heard the president has been very clear. We cannot surrender our democracy to faceless institutions. And as a government, he has a responsibility. We have come a long way. Almost 50 plus years, Trevor, is not a joke. For someone to come with the idea of facelessness is not truthful. And that is why my challenge to Gen Zs, if they feel they don't have a face, let them register a Gen Z or civil society so that they can go and pursue their journey of being facelessness in the civil society space. Kenya is a free space. You can come, demonstrate, do whatever you want, air your views, but if you cannot come on the table. Boniface Mwangi has been doing civil demonstrations. Year in, year come in, year out.
Where is he
year
now?
in, year out. But he's still on the streets.
Yesterday.
Where is he now?
He has been arrested because yesterday he was causing chaos.
How do you know? How do you know?
Kenyans want to...
How do you know? How do you know he was causing chaos?
No, it is about time.
In fact, all they had were rose flowers.
Imagine.
You see,
Imagine.
Trevor, those rose flowers, did you see what was written on Boniface Mwangi's t-shirt?
But that is not violence.
But you
When
see-
you-
Self-expression,
it's the same way you're expressing your views right
which
now.
is in the
You're not
Constitution,
You
by
see,
the way,
Trevor,
Newton.
Trevor, let us get it very clear. For Boniface Mwangi to make ends meet, he has to do that. That is his job.
No, let's not
Let us
focus.
be factual. Let us be.
Don't
real.
focus on individuals.
Yes, we are not.
And let's not focus on the
What is
issue,
the
not the job.
see, yesterday-
The issue is raising, Newton, the issue that Boniface was talking about, I want you to put the discussion on that, not in terms of
Not him as an individual.
or what he does for. So address the issue he was addressing and why he got arrested for it, and answer us if it is fair. Because, Newton, you've said there are no abductions. I've actually been offended by that statement, my brother, because it's true. People are being abducted with people who have covered their face. Those are actually not goons. Those are mercenaries. Newton, nobody is safe in this country. Even the youth who wants to express themselves, wants to come as leader. Many people have good ideas. Many people can come out and speak, but the fact that they imagine they come out and speak here on a TV or some on social media and you get abducted and then your body is found somewhere in a river, that's what squares the people. And we should actually be addressing that issue and condemning it, because our police, so far we have not even seen a single police officer arraigned in court or arrested. And those are one of the demands we actually made.
In fact, IPOA says they're not getting enough support.
Him as a Gen Z,
Make
you know,
any
and
arrest.
this is the thing, Trevor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He has to be, let's be careful also with our statements. Don't say nobody is safe. We are here and we are able to air our views. So we are safe. It's just that the people who are trying to represent, to speak for, it's true, they're being abducted. And later I'll answer him the plan for 2027
All right,
Gen Z.
let me bring in Wanjiku on this. Wanjiku, so have the young people been hard?
First of all, we've just been called shallow-minded.
By Wanjiku right there, explain what you meant by shallow-minded.
Yeah. Let me say, it's such an offensive word. You see, Gen Z feels like we've been here seated basking. Yet, we've had Gen Xers and millennials and now Gen Zs who've come in, and there's such tremendous work that has been done before. We have to stand the people who have been here before us. The constitution that Gen Z you're using to defend yourself, what the effort and the work that was put in by the women of Kenya, Julia Ojambo, Martha Karua, let me tell you, you can't call them shallow-minded. It's a good document that it's supreme. It's the most supreme document of this country. So how can you say that the people who contributed to that document are shallow-minded? We've taken part of so much work in this country. For example, the sex consent age was to come down to 16. I was part of that work, ensuring that it stays at 18. You have to appreciate the work that came before you. The reason why you're so politically aware is because of the work that you have done in conscientizing young people. And that doesn't mean that it was work just done in Nairobi. We went to Garissa, we went to Lamu, we went to Isiolo, we went to Laikipia. We have put in work. The reason why you are here today and politically aware is because of the work that has been done. So what are you supposed to do is to strengthen the movement. Capacitate us even more. You have this energy that we have needed so much that was lacking. And now, once you're here, you shun us and call us shallow-minded. My God. It is, yani asante apunda ni mateke surely.
Yes.
It is so unfair and unjust to us people who have done so much work for this country. And let me tell you, you can't win alone. For us now, it has to be a multi-generational work. You can't win alone. We are happy you're here and we received you so warmly and defended you. But then when we defend you, then you call us shallow-minded. It's just unacceptable. Okay. Have we been hard? Yes and no. Trevor, you know, I'll go back. I'm a gender justice advocate. That cabinet did not meet. It failed to meet the constitutional gender, youth, and PWD. We have only one young person.
Exactly.
My God. Like, I was so hurt by it. And then I saw just 6 women out of, I think, 22 or 21.
21.
And to make matters worse, the women who are there look at Honorable Soipan, what is happening to her. Left, right, center, they're tarnishing her name. I don't know why people are so obsessed with the sexual lives of women. Why are we so obsessed in the bedroom lives of women? I know why, because there's gender bias. We want to distract ourselves from the achievement this great woman has done. It is so irrelevant to her professional abilities. If the president has seen she can fit serving as defense, she is fit serving as defense. Right. Look at her professional abilities. This is a woman who has done law even at master's level away from the country. So this obsession of women and holding women to such long yardstick is outrageous. And as women in Kenya, we refuse what you are doing to Honorable Soipan. And the president, you gave a cabinet memo about the two-third gender rule. You created a whole multi-sector working group. We did the whole job of going through around the country for public participation. What are the women of Kenya saying? Why do you keep ignoring the effort of women? As women, we are demanding justice. We can't have just 6. We are, in fact, in this country, we are more women than men. Then in representation, you give us a mere 6 slots.
Okay.
Trevor.
So
No, I'm not saying that you can't be given just 6 slots. We need more representation for both women. And we also have PWDs in this country.
All right.
There is no single PWD. How can we program for the country if we leave other people behind, it won't be intersectional. We need to be alive to issues of other Kenyans. We just don't want to see men every time on decision-making tables. And I'll speak why it is so important to have women in positions of power, because women have collaborative approaches. It's so easy to collaborate with women. Trevor, the empathy and emotional intelligence of women is beyond par. The chaos that you are seeing, it will be in a lesser scale because of our diversity and innovation that we bring on the table.
Understood. All right, let me bring in Onduko. Onduko, you've been under fire for that statement of shallow approach. So explain what you meant.
Well, first of all, I do agree with her on the sense that we cannot completely overhaul the system. I mean, the reason why we have the capacity to challenge the system is as a consequence of probably the education that we've had, right? So that I think that needs to go on record first of all, right? But what I meant by saying shallow-mindedness insofar as, and I mean, don't generalize it. I said that I think that people, and especially the leaders that we are having right now, are shallow-minded in addressing the concerns that we are facing, is because they see issues as black and white. And I will give an example. Police brutality, for example. And as I said, police brutality is not a thing that started with this president. It's been here for a while now. So when Gen Zs are saying, don't kill us, find other ways of creating some sense of integration between police and the people, my anticipation is probably the leadership would say, what has been ailing us if this thing is a systemic thing? And my sense is that, one, we are dealing with an inherited legacy of how the colonialists dealt with the people, right? So we have not seen a refurbishing of how police are dealing with people. That's number one. Number two, it could be that recruitment is flawed in some ways, right? That besides physical fitness, nothing else is paid attention, yet these are people who are supposed to go out there and make judgments and reason out, And then number three is probably the training and outdated policies and so on. So when people are raising issues and they're saying, police brutality is a thing, I expect the leadership should go into these multi-layered, multifaceted concerns and say, what, this is how we are going to address this thing. But how you see it is just in a shallow space. But also to agree with what my fellow panelists are saying, when all these things started, the Gen Z movement started, when we started going to the protests and there was a sense of an awakening, I was under the impression that finally we were going to teach the country, the continent, and the world that in a democratic society, it is very possible to have engagements without demonizing, without vilifying other people, or that we could disagree without being disagreeable. Of course, I was Delulu.
Delulu.
Right? But the issues that are being thrusted to the fore are very pertinent issues and very critical. And so part of the thing that makes us angry and positively angry is that the government is concerned about negative peace, which is the absence of tension. Yet what we are calling for is positive peace. Opportunities, justice, equality, fairness, what she's talking about, right? Not just the absence of tension. We want the presence of justice. That is positive peace, the presence of justice, not just the absence of tension. Do we have a leadership? Trevor, let me tell you, and this is my position, that Gen Zs, we probably have to just shake up this status quo. And probably I would agree with some of the millennials here that it is time we look at alternative leadership. Alternative leadership. If these are the policies that the government is saying, can we, because we have the brains, we are very articulate in bringing out these concerns, So can we say, what, this is the policy of the government, this is our policy, right? Because I do think that it is precisely a conflict of ideas that makes democracy move forward. When we are, there's that incessant, that unrelenting ways of engaging with each other. Sometimes we make concessions, sometimes people concede, sometimes we strike on commonalities and move forward. But I do think that as it stands, and I'm also this obsession with leadership, I do agree that leadership is really an important thing. But the obsession in itself, I think, makes us a little scared, just like somebody said here, makes us a little scared. But I am under the conviction, I am under the impression that probably they could have a Damascus moment and just decide to, like I said, not look at these issues as either or, and both end. And then my last point would be, we've also had this thing of, wait and wait and wait, the government is doing this thing. There's this statement that said justice too delayed is justice denied. If you read Dr. King's letter from Birmingham jail, that is where he quotes it, when the clergy wrote him a letter and they were telling him, please give the government some time to address your civil rights issues insofar as race relations is concerned. But he addresses them and says that, you know what, I cannot go to people whose families have lost their loved ones and tell them, wait. I can't go to a university student whose eyes is welling up in tears, writing a deferring letter, and tell her to wait. I can't go to a business person who has done all the right things, who's idealistic, who's innovative, but as a consequence of punitive taxes, he cannot be able to go far in his business and tell him, wait. I cannot go to people whose dreams, aspirations are being stifled and tell them to wait, right? And these are the things we are saying. And when I talk about values being injected into the system, are you a leader who's empathetic enough to know that this thing isn't just about giving people representation insofar as ethnic compartmentalization is concerned?
Okay.
So that's what we Gen Zs are saying, that, you know what, create something that works for anyone who's willing to take a shot at life.
Okay.
But also, we would love to see that representation that he's talking about.
Yeah.
And if the playing ground is made equal, we have positive peace where everybody's going at something, then I think we would be. It is not nice to be on the streets.
Okay.
It is not. It is not nice.
Let me bring up some feedback. There's a lot of feedback coming through. Then I'll come to all of you to tell us now, way forward. What happens now? There's been a proposal for dialogue. They've rejected it. Now there's been a dissolution of cabinet. They've been reappointed. They say that it's still not enough. Let's bring up the feedback and see what you're saying here. And see Godi Baraza says it's a sad and stark reality for the young people to discover that the older political generation is conveniently using them to advance their selfish agendas. Case in point is by looking at how many young people are in cabinet now. Okay? Bob Otieno says, no, they haven't been heard, but hoodwinked by political bigwigs. Their only achievement is dropping off the Finance Bill 2024. Okay? Peter says, to a large extent, Gen Zs, their demands have been affected. Let them go to the decision-making table, but not destroying people's businesses in the CBD in the name of protests. Okay? Kev says, I wish politicians can learn from these young brothers and sisters in the studio, a sober, respectful conversation. Okay? Frank says, Gen Zs haven't been heard. The government is behaving like they do not understand. Policy implementation is at its worst. Corruption, nepotism, high cost of life is the order of the day. The president is back on the roof of the car. Okay? Let's see what else you're saying. Yeah, I agree. At this time, the Gen Zs needs a leader and representation. But I don't know what leadership is needed to tell the president we don't want corrupt individuals in the cabinet or police who killed and injured protesters to be held accountable. Okay? And you say, do we need dialogue for institutions to work?
Yes, we do.
Very simple question.
Jiraini, let's start with you now. Looking forward into 2027, what then must now be done?
Thank you,
as
Trevor.
we anticipate that?
Because, I was going to answer Nelson and Onduko as well.
You can. Go ahead.
But in the same, what's the way forward? I agree with Bob Otieno. The young people are feeling hoodwinked. In fact, not the young people. Everybody you talk to, they feel, we don't understand. We thought the president is going to come up with a list of technocrats, maybe one or two politicians, but not the ones who were rejected per se. But let me go to the way forward because there's not much time. Number one, the middle class have to be more involved. These are the people who don't vote. When taxation comes, it comes and hits the middle class hard. We have Gen Zs there, we have millennials there, we have Gen X there, we have everyone. Most people are middle class, not most people in terms of population, but I'm talking about these people who are not getting involved are there. We're getting hit hard because of decisions made by others. We have to be involved in 2027. Number two, the fire of the Gen Z cannot die down. It has to continue. However, it has to be guided. They have to be respectful because, like we have said, if they're not respectful, no one is going to give them that table. Like now, when the president went to X and someone is just shouting such things, it's unacceptable. So how would the president ever come back to X even if we called for another meeting there? You know? So respect is very important. Number three, the culture of campaign money. Now, this is the problem because the endemic corruption is coming because it starts with the campaigning. Trevor, I know you're eyeing a seat in a couch.
No.
I'm also eyeing a seat. But let me
All
anyway,
the best.
that was just
You're putting
anyway,
on
that
the
was
spot.
just a passing cloud, just to lighten the moment. But here's the thing. I spoke to an MP who lost an election once, and he told me, beside the fact that they have a cap with IEBC on how much they can spend during elections, you have to have 50 million shillings for you to campaign to be an MP. Now, where do you get that 50 million? I look at my salary. If I look at our salaries, where are we going to get 50 million? We can't even get the loan of 50 million shillings. So what is happening? You go to people who want, obviously, you to look at them after you get that seat. So corruption cannot end. So Gen Zs have to do this, number one. Oh, by the way, for a president, he needs 40 billion shillings for him to run. 40 billion. Where does all this money come from? Obviously, that's why we're having endemic corruption. It is continuous, regardless. Now, Gen Zs have to come in and say, okay, look at what is happening in the United States. When Kamala Harris was just announced to be the one to succeed Biden, one day alone, the fundraisers came up with $100 million in a period of 24 hours. That means she doesn't have to mobilize. No, there are people who believe in her and say, you know, she's the right person to run under the Democratic ticket. Here's the money. Go for it. It needs to come back home. I have seen Gen Zs contributing some cash for Senator Okiya Omtata when he was challenging some things about governments last year.
Even the injured people in hospital.
Very good. And they have done it, you know, a couple of times. These need to happen. They select, for example, they'll say, Trevor, I'm going to use you again. Trevor, you're going to stand this seat. We are going to campaign for you. And when you get this seat, we are going to hold you accountable. My friend, you'll be very much accountable when you get that seat. That is very important. So Gen Z have to handpick their leaders and say, for president, we want this person. We will campaign for them. For governor, this person. I will campaign for them. For MP, and so forth and so forth. That is the only way to deal with this endemic corruption. Okay. Otherwise, on the streets, same thing. It has been done before. It has been done before. It has not really worked. Yes, some people have gained from it. Right now, some people are still gaining who are not Gen Zs. Cabinet secretaries, only one young person. 6 ladies only. So now we have to have a change and say, okay, 2027, we're all going to vote. Middle class, Gen Zs, everyone, let's go vote. Select our leaders and go ticket on the ballot. Hold everyone responsible so that when now they've been sworn in, we can say we are going to hold you accountable, and it's very easy to bring you down.
Okay, Mayore, way forward now.
Okay, it is a bit disappointing that, I'm seated here with my fellow youth who this discussion has focused on lecturing the Gen Zs instead of actually celebrating them. These people have done something commendable. We didn't expect such a thing to happen, that youths can rise and unite together and make sure a bill is collapsed. How life would have been so hard if the finance bill was actually in effect today. We have to celebrate my generation. We have to salute them. Way forward is, as much as we have weaknesses as a movement, the Gen Zs and the millennials, I admit we do have weaknesses, just like any other organization. But I am thinking it's time we actually think about setting up a political party. Because we have talked to the government, we have even talked to the opposition leaders. By the way, I met the Honorable Odinga recently at the Pan-African Youth Convention, where I was invited as a delegate by my friend Alex Matere. And I got the rare chance of greeting him, and I told him one thing. Listen, Baba man, we are supporting you for the AU campaign, but please don't get involved in the movement the youth are charting forward. You can advise us, but please let us do it our way. The same way his days, they fought for multi-party democracy their way. And these days they were young. They were actually our ages, but they were not being called children. But this time we're being called children because they want to belittle us, to belittle our issues. Yet we are discussing pertinent issues. In fact, the issues Gen Zs are raising, they are not Gen Z's issue. These are a Kenyan issue. That's why there's support from the older generation, even silent support. You'll find a parent giving their children, here is bus fare money. You're going to protest. Take your bus fare money. If you get tired, go somewhere, drink a juice. But please be careful. So parents actually gave the children silent permission.
Yeah.
That is a revolution. That is a change of a mindset. And the sad thing is our politicians are treating this thing as a passing cloud. They're thinking this is just a moment. No, this is change.
Yeah.
Things cannot go on the same way. People have had a mental revolution.
Okay.
Now, as a youth, we have to actually set up a party and we start going for the seats because now the opposition and the government are one.
Yeah.
We went to parliament on June 25th, which means we directly represent ourselves as per Article 1. That parliament, as we speak, has no legitimacy.
Okay.
We have to now organize to collect signatures, recall these MPs, demand a by-election so that we can impeach the president in a legal way.
Okay.
Because I believe, like the other Gen Zs, that Ruto must go.
Okay. Amira.
Trevor, I think he came late, so it's important to know we're not just lecturing. We already celebrated
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the point.
So
that
come early
Yeah.
next time.
It's very bad. Amira, let's put it back.
Yeah, I think that's the point that I was coming to, Captain, because one thing that we've noted with my generation is selective listening and selective reading. We've gone to the streets and saying, hatutaki finance bill. Mimi sijui kenye finance bill ina consider, lakini najua tu siitaki. You get? And then at the same time, we're saying we don't want leaders. Why don't you let those who read that document back to back to actually lead you? Au ndo wakwe wanajua. Niseme, Newton amesema, finance bill si nzuri. You get? So we did celebrate you. We did celebrate our generation. We said there's a great end of patriotism that we've seen and love for our country.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we've mentioned that there's a great behavior of immorality and bullying that we are witnessing. Your idea of a political party is a very great idea.
Absolutely.
It is a very amazing idea. And as Wanjiku mentioned, some of us have been here in these spaces trying to actually achieve these things without going to the streets. Because right now, I don't think if anyone in this room knows there's actually an existing inter-party youth forum.
Yes.
You get? It is a youth forum that comprises all the youth leaders from different political parties. Have we seen our leaders doing that? No, we haven't seen them. I haven't seen a single MP from ODM and UDA sitting together and coming up with a document together and saying, this is what we want to do for our people.
Yeah.
But we came down, sat and said, you know what, we need to do something for the youth. So, but then when I think a young lady mentioned that kind of an idea that we need a political youth party, a youth political party, oh my goodness, I really feel sorry for that little girl. Up to date, I really just wish I could see her and hug her. Because the amount of bullying that young lady went through for just even mentioning her ambitions,
Yeah.
even if it was something that she was ambitious about. I want to be a politician. I'm young, yes, but I want to be a politician. And it starts with me getting involved in a political party. And
Yeah.
I see the focus is a youth political party. Wasn't a crime,
Yeah.
honestly speaking. So before I give you the way forward, Trevor, I please give me a few seconds or a
Yeah, we're
minutes
really
to
pressed for
actually...
time, but
yeah,
yeah.
I just want to echo what Wanjiku said on the gender-based violence that we see in politics. And also, I want to relate it to how the youth can actually learn from the women. To achieve 6 positions of women in the CS in a country that actually oppresses women is a very huge impact. And we see that from the way when Soipan Tuya Honorable was mentioned as the CS of Defense, every single woman in this country actually celebrated her. I don't know her personally. I've never read about her achievements. But as a woman, I'm like, okay, I really pray that you don't let me down. I really pray and look forward to you to actually, bring more women on board, and let's see how we can, the women agenda. There's a youth CS right now. Haven't seen a single presser from the youth. Actually, he's 32 years of age. I don't know him. I can't even tell him by name right now. But as a youth, I know one is better than zero. Yeah. We can do better. The president should do better. We need, these faces that are here right now could make great cabinet secretaries. Yes. They have the brains, they have the constitutional knowledge and the policy implementation knowledge that is needed to drive this government forward. Okay. But the thing that we're dealing with is on the matter of gender, Trevor, we have a different adjective for men and women in this country.
Okay.
Because as a woman, if I achieve something like the cabinet for defense right now, or the youth cabinet for youth affairs in this country, I must have done something to get up there, and doesn't have to do anything with my brains. But you as a man, Trevor, if you get the cabinet for, as my brother was saying, you're eyeing a seat, it's your achievements. Oh, hail Trevor, he's really, he has the brains, you get. And it's crazy that we carry up those kind of vices from the different generations, because even as a Gen Z, we've seen, they say the Gen Z are on the streets and the baddies have also come. Okay. Meaning that the baddies are bringing nothing on that street other than their body. No brains. The baddies are right there. Yes, wamejitokeza, they're beautiful. We just want to parade them. They're very beautiful. I'm not saying that they don't have brains. We've seen really great women out there. Yeah. But that is the concept that we get when we say the baddies are out there. Okay. In terms of reforms, please, in terms of reforms, I think what we can do is give the government time. Yeah. Let us at least give space for dialogue. Okay. Let us have a conversation. And the government can do better in matters like offices of the women rep. I really don't see, I know I will come in hot seat for this, hot soup for this. I don't see why a women rep position should exist.
Okay.
I haven't seen them.
I agree.
Seen them doing anything. An MP is an MP. The roles are the same. If we have one performing MP who's really doing what he's supposed to do according to the Constitution, I don't see why we do.
Newton, way forward. We are really pressed for time. It's already 8 a.m. So
I appreciate
just 1 minute.
First of all, the third gender rule was achieved through the 6 out of 20. If you calculate, it will give you
it's not.
Of the women.
No, it's not.
True.
Okay.
It's a fact.
It's not.
If you're going mathematical.
If you go mathematically, it is achieved. Second, what do we want as a country? We want change. What change? Good governance. Simple. Let us focus on having good governance in the country. I want to agree with what my friend Gen Z said. Time is very critical. We cannot wait for too long. We need actions done as soon as possible. I want to agree with what my friend said. Let us have leaders like PK Salasia being elected, because PK never used his money. That is why he's focusing on empowering his people, his constituents. That is why he's going to be re-elected and re-elected and re-elected, because he's doing what is deserved. The second thing, let us work with the collaboration bias. As young people, let us go there to provide solutions and alternatives that are going to last. A simple question I want to ask my friend here who was saying Ruto must go. A very simple question. Is life going to be easy since the finance bill was dropped? No. We just need to work hard and ensure that good governance is in this country to enable things to move forward. Okay. Simple.
All right.
Right of reply.
Closing remarks. We run out of time anyway.
Yeah.
Closing remarks, very fast.
For the Gen Z movement, let's now employ a multi-pronged strategy, not just the streets. Let's go on the decision-making tables. Let's do dialogue. Let's just do a multi-pronged strategy besides just the protest, because protest only is not sustainable. So we need to make the movement sustainable. Okay. Also, listen and entertain alternative voices. It's so important. Again, I would like to say that coming 2027, young people, I'm encouraging Gen Zs, join political parties, participate in political parties, run for office. If you're not running for office, support a fellow young person. Status yako si usieke tu meme pekee. Also put the posters of the young people you are supporting. Okay. Yes. Right. And then also go get our voters card 2027. This is how we are going to, let's make that parliament more youthful.
All right.
And above all, I want to congratulate the president on having a cabinet. It is going to go through public participation. I'm asking young people, if you're not satisfied, let's go through the public participation and submit.
Okay.
If it goes through, we are hoping that it delivers for Kenya because we believe in you.
All right, Onduko, very, very fast.
Well, right, yeah. I do think that change in a democratic society is not instantaneous. I think that change in a democratic society is over the long term, right? And I also don't want to think of this thing right now as revolutionary, rather evolutionary. So I think that what we have to do going forward is to sort of calcify our thoughts, calcify our minds, and be able to solidify our movement into an alternative leadership that goes directly against the political class right now. Because like I said, protesting, you protest so that your issues can come to the fore and they can no longer be ignored and the people in the responsibility seat can listen. But if you realize that the people in the responsibility seat are choosing not to listen or they don't have the capacity, then you don't protest anymore. You go after that political seat and make the changes yourself. So I am confident, and we are not relenting as Gen Zs. We are not giving up. We will march forward until victory is won.
All right. Thank you so much for making time this morning, Captain Ian Njiraini, motivational influencer and youth leader, Onduko Rosasi, youth leader, Newton Amasi, another youth leader, Alex Mayore, Comms Director, Third Way Alliance, Amir Abdullahi, NC Youth Chair, and Wanjiku Tega, founder, Gears for Change Initiative. Thank you all for having this conversation with me. We'll do this again another time. Coming up next is DJ Gigi and Ben Sue on the decks. They have a fantastic lineup of guests. They're already here with me. I would have shown you, but the cameras are facing me. So have a fantastic weekend ahead. Bye for now.